Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Hello, can you hear me? Message everyone. Put my audio on.
What's going on, guys?
Good, good. Yourself?
Hey, how's
Um,
everyone doing?
what's going on, boss? Everything all right?
Doing good? Nice.
Yeah, I think Nana was having problems getting into the meeting.
Okay. I just invited
Yeah, okay,
her.
I think he's in now.
Okay,
Yeah, Nana,
nice.
you good? I see him in here, so he should be good.
Yes, I'm good now.
Okay. All right. And how many more are we waiting for, or is there more?
I think it should be one more person.
Okay.
Baf. What's her name?
Yes, I'm seeing if she's gonna join on that. I'm calling it, but if she doesn't pick, then we can just start.
Okay. All right. Does everyone have their VM set up or some type of Linux environment where they can probably just like follow along?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. I'm just waiting for mine to
Hello?
load.
Yeah. Are
Hey.
you joining the class? Prof, she's joining on now.
Okay. All right. Just waiting for her request. As soon as she put the request, I'll admit her to the class. Yeah, I'm just writing some notes right now, really quick on the OneNote that we're using for some of the commands we're going to be going over today. Let's see. So then hypervisor. Yes. Hello, everybody. I think everybody's here now.
Yeah, that's everybody. It should be.
All right. Let me get my VM up and spinning for you guys. All right, so we're gonna get started today. We'll be with navigational commands, and then we'll also go to other stuff like more like file manipulation techniques or more of like text editor stuff. But we'll see how much time we have. But we're gonna go over all of these more in detail with you guys. As long as everyone has like a VM, some type of Linux image to be able to practice these commands as we go along. And then we can also ask questions as we go along too, or we can hold it to the end, whatever is best for the group. So just give me a second. I'm gonna get my VM up and running. I might just use repel.it.com instead, just because this is my server takes a little while to boot up. So let me just log in, just get a bash shell from here. Let's see. Oh yeah, there's also this website. I'm gonna post it in the chat real quick that I recommend. That's if you guys want. Let me just post this website also. All right, let me see if I can send you guys this site too. I'll put this in the chat just in case. Okay. Where is it? All right, can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
cool.
sir.
Yep, you guys see the little text editor repelit.com or whatever it is, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right, let me just open up my notes. So I'll go along with each command for now. Let me just open that up. So it's not here. Okay. All right, nice. All right, so we're in a shell. Let me make this bigger for you guys so everyone can see it. Can you everyone see this? Is this
Yes.
visible enough? Okay, I'll try to make it big. Okay, cool. All right, so today's class, our last class, we got everything set up. So now we can kind of follow along and kind of ask questions along the way. So the whole point of this class today is so we use navigational commands to be able to get around the Linux file system, and then also get a little bit more familiar and be able to use it. Let me just change that again. My bad. Okay, cool. And the reason why it's important is because when you are trying to navigate the file system, there might be some files that you might need to get. There might be certain programs you may need to run, or maybe certain places where you need to go or find out where you're at. We'll also talk about like if you have to make directories, which is basically like a folder and like in Windows, when you right click and you open up a folder, it's very similar to directories that we're going to be making. So the first command we're going to start out with, actually, before we start out with the command, just to let you guys know, if you guys see this prompt right here, like the little $sign, that just means that you're a regular user. But you can also be a regular user and also have like certain permissions. Like you might be part of a group that has permissions for certain folders. You might be able to run sudo, but this usually the $sign is used for just standard users. Because for root, if you're root, you usually have this hash symbol instead of that $sign. And usually on your systems by default, when you use a user, like I said, $sign. If you're root, there'll be a hashtag. And as soon as my server spins up, I'm going to switch screens and I'm going to show you on that screen. But for now, we're going to start out with the first command, which is cd, which stands for change directory. So the cd command is used to change the current working directory in the Linux terminal. So by typing cd and following a directory name, so let's say right now, the first thing we want to do is find out where we're at. So we're going to use the pwd command before the cd command, but let me explain what pdw is. So pdw stands for print working directory. So the command prints the current working directory. So this is helpful command when you need to verify the current location of your terminal window. So type in pwd. If you guys type this in, yours actually will be different than mine because you guys are using your. I'm using an online version, but it should give you your home folder. So yours should say /home and whatever the username is. So that's what yours should say /home and slash whatever user you are at that moment, right? So like I said, the pwd command tells you where you're at. And this is important is because when you're moving around, you might need to know where you are depending on what you need to do. So when we're running ls, I mean, not ls, sorry. So when running cd here, if I do cd slash, we're going to go to the root file system. Remember, we're talking about in the file hierarchy. Let me just open up this tab. Can you guys still see the screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you guys see Firefox right now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. I just need to make sure because it doesn't show me anything. Like this Zoom app doesn't tell you, it doesn't highlight the window. So when we're starting out here, as you can see here, okay, that doesn't help. Let me just try to see.
And I think that the only issue for me right now is trying to follow you on the site, and then also trying to enter in the stuff on the VMware.
Okay, so right now, what we're going to start out with is using the cd command and then using the forward slash. So we can start from the very top of the file system.
I think I might have to log out and
Well, take your time.
and
No
then
worries. I'll wait.
log in with my
Use your
phone so
phone.
that I could use my laptop just to follow you.
It's fine. If you want, you can also use the you can go to this website, the repel.it.com, and sign in with your Google account. And you can follow me there. And
Okay.
then you just go to the shell. You just click the shell. This is if like you don't have a VM running or anything, you can do it this way.
Okay.
Also.
But would I be able to see what you're doing and at the same time follow it? Because it was hard.
So do you have a do you guys have like for with your laptops what you can do with, I'm not sure, depending, I think Mac has this feature too. You can actually pin like your actual like a window on one on the right side and one on the left side if you guys want to try to do that. And then you can also try to increase like the font size or like the window size. So that way it's easier to see like what you're typing. And then also for the video, you can also like make you can minimize the window. So you can see like half the screen can be the VM and the other half can also be the video at the same time, if that's helpful. Or what I can do is I can also type in the commands, just wait like a minute for everyone to try it out.
Which one works good for you, Bob? I think
Either one,
he's
whatever.
probably going to try to.
Okay, yeah,
I
whatever
think
you.
he's trying to sign in from his phone.
Oh, that's why. Okay, I see. No worries. He's trying to follow. Okay, I see what you're saying.
I think he's about to log in through his phone, so he could just put the phone aside and use his laptop.
Okay, no worries. Let me try to make this bigger. How was your week, everyone?
I was pretty good, pretty chill.
It's like snowing today. I'm not sure if it's snowing where you guys are at, but it just, I was like surprised.
It's like 80 degrees here in Texas, man. So
Oh, you guys are. Oh, I forgot you guys are in Texas.
yeah,
Oh, never mind. Never mind. Yeah, it snowed a little bit. It snowed a little bit out here, so I was like surprised. Yeah,
Yeah, it's still snowing.
yeah.
can't wait till summer comes around. I'm just can't wait for the nice sunshine and hopefully some good weather. But you know. But if you're in Texas, I guess you're, fine.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think Bob is trying to get it inside the meeting. He said, "Can you allow him?"
Say it one more time. Sorry. Oh, let him
Oh,
get back in. Oh, sorry.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
Let me see. Let me just stop the share. Let me see if I can try to allow him in. Oh, there it is. Yep. Okay. I'm gonna share back my screen. Okay. And whenever you guys are ready to move along, we'll move along.
Bob, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Okay, cool. So last time we went over the file hierarchy standard last time. So remember the root is the top of the file system. And that's where the slash is. So where the slash is, that's where everything begins. And then every single I guess word in between is a directory that you're in. So that's how the structure is. And we went over like the main directories or the main folders and what each one is specifically for. So on the last one, now that my VM is up, I kind of want to go over the syntax over here. If everyone can see my screen, everyone can see my terminal, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the first part here, when you guys see this would be the username. So this is always a username. And then the second part is telling you on what machine. And then over here, this is the name of the machine. So when you see this is referred to the host name. So the host name refers to the server that you're on. And the reason why you have this is because if you're trying to connect to your server, sometimes they have weird names. And so when someone tries to log into it, they can use this name to log into it. And this is the host name. This can always be changed. It might be Apple MacBook, it might be whatever, but that's the name of the computer. And remember, the first one is the actual name of the user who's using it. And this is called a tilde. So this tilde, what this means, it means that you're in your home folder. That's what the tilde means. And depending on where you are at, if you change the folder, this will tell you where you're at the current moment. So remember, this tilde just means that you're in your home folder. This $ just means that you're a regular user. But like I said, you can also have special permissions or sudo permissions. It just means that you're a regular user. It just means that you're not in a root prompt. If you want to see a root prompt, this is how it looks like. You see how it changed to this hash symbol? This means that you're root. If you ever see this, this means that you're root. All right, so the first thing that we want to use is a pwd command. This prints your working directory. So this tells you where you're at that moment. So right now it says that I'm in the root folder. So the root folder is the home folder of the root user. So if you ever see /root, that's the home folder for the root user. So if I move to the top of the directory, I can use the cd command, which stands for change directory. When you use this command, you are telling it where you want to go. So at this moment, I'm telling it that I want to go to the top of the file system, which is the /. So now this tilde, it's changed to the /. So all it's saying now is that I'm not in my home folder anymore. Now I'm on the top of the file system. And if we use the ls command, which stands for listing, or it lists your files and your directories, when you type in ls now and you press enter, you will see the folders or the files, which this is probably a file here. That's why the color is different. Usually these darker blue ones, depending on the distribution that you're using of Linux, these are folders. As you can see here, these cayenne color, these are symbolic links, and we'll go over that in a little bit. So right now we see that these are all the folders on the top of the root file system. And as you can see, the root home folder was here. So we see that we have a folder here named root, and that's where we were at. We were here. So we were at the root, and then we moved to the top. So we moved backwards one. So we were in this folder, and this folder was the home folder for the root user. Since we moved back to the top, now we're able to see all the folders that we can go inside of. So when we move into the folder, now let's say I want to go to the Professor Linux folder. I can use CD, but you can also use your username. You can use your username instead of Professor Linux. So you can type in CD/home. As you can see, home is one of the options here, which are one of the folders here, home. And then you can use slash, and then type in the name of the user. In my case, it's called Professor Linux. In your case, might be called, whatever name that you named it. And then when I press enter, we can see that we moved to this folder. And as you can see here, it's changed from the slash, which is the top of the file system, to Professor Linux. So whenever you see this, this just tells you what folder you're in or what directory you're in. So if I did the CD command again, and I put dev, actually, that's my bad. If I did the CD command and typed in /dev, which is the devices, you can see that I moved to the dev folder. So just a reminder, every time you move, you can see what folder you're in. I can also type in pwd. As you can see now, it says that I'm in the dev folder. And it also tells me here, I'm in the dev folder. But you don't always want to look at this because you might be nested. What nested means, you might be inside of a folder of another folder. So let me show you what I mean. I can go to my home folder, right? And when I go there, we can see that I say home because that's the current directory or folder that I'm in. But if I do CD Professor Linux, which is one of the folders inside this home directory, you can see it changes to the current folder that you're in. So when I type in pwd, which is print working directory, it tells me that I'm in /home Professor Linux. As you can see here, it told me that I'm in Professor Linux. And then before that, it told me I'm in home, which was on the top of here. So this was a folder. And then inside of this folder, there's another folder or directory, which is named Professor Linux. But remember, this is only going to tell you what directory you're in at the moment. It won't tell you the whole path. So this is called a path. And there's two types of paths that we're going to go over real quick. So I'm going to clear the screen really quick. I'm going to do CD. Okay. So let me go to, I'm going to go to CD/home, which means that I'm going to start at the root file system. And from here, I want to go into a folder named home. That's all that means. So if I want to go into the folder named Professor Linux, right? All I have to do is do CD Professor Linux. So this is called the relative path right here. Does anyone know what a relative path is or might think you know what it is? If not, no worries. Okay, so what a relative path is something that's relative to you. So when you're inside of this home folder, right, this is relative to where you're at. So if you go inside of a bedroom, right, something relative to you would be your bed or your television or your bathroom door, if you have a bathroom door, let's say in your bedroom or whatever, right? That'll be something that's relative because it's next to you, right? If I said if the let's say the lawnmower is that relative to you? That wouldn't be relative because it's not in the same room that you're in. That would be in the garage. Maybe you have your lawnmower in the garage, so this wouldn't be relative. So in this case, relative just means what's in your current folder. And this current folder that I'm in, I have Professor Linux. So this will be a relative path because since I'm already here, this is relative to me. And the reason why this command works like this, and I can just type in Professor Linux, is because I'm already here. And it knows to check the current directory you're in. So when it runs the CD Professor Linux, right, what it does, it checks inside of here. Since I'm already inside of since I'm in the home folder, it checks inside of here and it says, oh yes, Professor Linux exists. So let's change directory to it, right? But let me say if I went to the CD/dev, right? I'm in the dev directory and I wanted to do the same thing. It wouldn't work. And the reason why is because in my directory, which is called PWD, I use PWD to see what directory I'm in or my working directory. We can see that I'm in dev. And the reason why it's not working is because this is not relative to me. Meaning that if I look inside of the dev file, if I do ls and dev and list the files and the directories, we can see here that Professor Linux doesn't exist. So the way that I would want to get there from the dev directory would be to type in the absolute path. So the absolute path is the exact location where it's located, starting from the beginning of the root file system. So from the very top. Now, if I want to go there, I have to be specific. I have to tell it exactly where I want to go. I want to go to /home/Professor Linux. So if I do cd/home/Professor Linux and press enter, we can see now it completed what I asked it to. And the reason why it completed it, it's because I gave it the absolute path and I told it where it needs to go. And this is where the folder is located. Now, if I do my PWD, we can see that we're in the /home/Professor Linux folder. And this is called an absolute path. So if I wanted to go to the dev directory and the Professor Linux, it wouldn't work because it's not relative to me. It's not in the same folder. If I do ls, as we can see here, we have different folders and different things. So since I'm here, what's relative to me is music. So I can change into the music folder. Why? Because I'm inside that folder. And in that folder, you have more folders and more files. So you can see that I can move to the music folder or directory, whatever is the best terminology to use. But as we can see, we can move there without issue. Why? Because it knows that we're here. Because it checks the path that you're in. It checks the path that you're in, and it tells you that you're in the home folder. And then it looks here first. And if it doesn't find nothing, it doesn't work. So if I wanted to go to the dev, you see it doesn't work because it's the I'm trying to do a relative path, but I have to do an absolute path where I have to tell it start from the root file system and go to a folder named dev. And then if I do that, you can see I'm in the dev folder. If I do ls on the slash, you can see the dev folder is here. So when I'm saying cd/, what it does, it goes here, the slash, and then it adds this dev right here. And then it goes into the folder. So pretty much it checks up here, and then it looks for a folder named dev. Same thing with the Professor Linux. It goes here, and then it goes home. And then after we go home, after we go into the home folder, which is here from the root directory system, we move into the folder named Professor Linux. And then it adds it here. And that's how it works. Does everybody understand the concept of a relative path and an absolute path? Or do you need a little bit more of explanations or maybe some more examples to try to help you understand the concept?
Yeah, if you can go over it one more time for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, no problem. Okay. So
So how did you get back to the with the tilde sign? That's that home
yep, you just type in CD.
CD? Okay.
Yes. If you type in CD, by default, it takes you to your home folder.
Okay.
So like whatever user you are, like you might be like like if I'm a regular user, let me exit out this prompt. Sorry. Oh yeah, by the way, you guys can type in clear, or you can use Control L to clear your screen. If you use Control L, it will clear your screen, or you can type in clear, and this will clear your screen for you so you can have a clean environment. So when we so the tilde sign, so like if I go to the slash directory, which is like I hate calling it slash, but the root directory, which is on the top, right? It gets a little bit when I say root directory, I'm talking about this. When I say root home folder, this is the root home folder. It can be confusing because this is the home folder of the root user. Like, and this is where all of its like files are, all the files are. Like, you know how we have a home folder here? If I do pwd, this is the home folder for users. Each user will have a folder under home. So they might be like user 1, user 2, user 3, user 4. But for the root, this is its home folder. It's a special area. But when we're talking about the root file system, or talking about starting from the root of the file system, it's starting from here because the root is on the top. Technically speaking, you can say top or bottom. I'm not sure, people say it differently, but the root is like a tree, right? It's like the very start of the file, the very like where it began. So this is where everything begins, is from this slash. This is why we call this the root, which is like the the first place where it started. So if I'm in the dev folder, just to show you really quick, I can just type in CD and it'll take me back home. Very simple. So if I'm in the CD folder also, you can type in CD if you want to make it easy, but if you want to be the correct way, which nobody's going to do if you're trying to save time and it just doesn't make logical sense, but you can do it this way too. So that way you can see the concept. So CD professor, CD / home professor Linux is the same exact thing. If the same exact thing as type in CD and enter. As you can see here, I was in the dev and I changed. And then now I'm in here. And then I was in the dev and then I typed in this and I'm here. So they're both the same thing. And to go over the relative path and absolute path. So, yep, sorry.
And the difference between the $ and the number sign is the hash sign.
Yes. Yes. So the $ is just regular user. And if I go to a root user, we see that let me just type in password. It's a hash sign. For the root user has hash symbol.
Okay.
Yep. That's the only difference.
Okay.
All right. So let me exit out of here. It makes it easier when I'm a regular user, not root, because it just makes it a little bit more weird. All right. So when we're talking about the relative path, right? For example, okay, I'm going to make a really good example. Don't mind this command right now. Just don't pay attention to what I'm doing at this moment. I just don't want to confuse you guys. I just have to make this in order to make an example for you guys. Okay. So if I type in ls right now, we see that we have this file called file1.txt, right? Inside of file1.txt, we have some text inside of it, right? So we'll go over this command in shortly, but I just want to show you for that relative path example. Inside of this folder, inside of this file, sorry about that, we have something that says what? It says what inside of here. So it's like a text file, like a notepad. Like if you ever had a notepad file or some text file, this is the name of the file and this is what's inside of it. This is the content. So inside I have something that spells what. All right. So if I wanted to look inside of this file, I use the cat command, which we'll go over in a little bit. So when I use a cat command and I want to look inside the file1.txt, it prints what? Because it prints what? And what it's doing is printing the contents of the file, right? And the reason why it knows how to do it is because I'm already here. Like if I type in pwd, right, the print working directory, I'm inside the Professor Linux folder. And the Professor Linux folder, so folder and directory is the same thing. I use folder because it's the easier way to understand, especially when you're coming from like Windows or doing the GUI version. I usually use folder, but folder and directory is the same thing. A folder is full of other folders, and that's really what it is. But the reason why I'm showing you this right here is because right now this is the folder that we're in. We're inside the Professor Linux folder / directory, right? So since we're inside of here, we can see that these are the files inside of this. So inside of Professor Linux, when I do ls, when I try to list the files and directories, we see that this is inside of there. And inside of here, we have something called file1.txt, which is a text file. So when I try to look inside of it, I don't have to put the /home/Professor Linux. And the reason why is because when you search for files and stuff, it checks your path, right? So it also checks where you're at. So you see it's checking right here, and it sees that I have something called file1.txt. So example, if I try to access something called file2.txt, it will never be able to find it because this file doesn't exist, right? So if I try to use file1.txt, if I try to look for this file in a different directory, like let's say if I go to /dev and I try to do cat file1.txt, you'll get the same error as this. And the reason why is because when you're referencing something, like if you want to move somewhere, you're referencing something, it doesn't work because it looks inside of that folder that you're in already. Like you're already in that folder, and it looks, hey, is there a file1.txt here? And if there isn't, then you get an error code. If there is, then it'll work. That's why you have to do an absolute path. You have to tell it where it's located. So when you do this, you're saying, I want you to go to the home, Professor Linux, and I want you to show me what's inside of this file, file1.txt. So the cat command, what it does, it looks inside of here, right? But when you're looking inside of this file, you have to tell it where it's located. Because by doing cat file1.txt does not work. And the reason why it doesn't work like this is because I'm inside the dev folder. I'm inside of here. And inside of this dev folder, this file doesn't exist. If you look inside of here, if you look inside of the dev directory that we're in, file1 doesn't exist. It does not exist. So since it doesn't exist, I'm going to get this error. So that's why you have to tell it where it's located. So for example, for the dev folder, if I wanted to, let's say if I make something in here, I'm going to make a folder real quick, but we'll go over these commands also. I'm going to go over test. Okay, I guess it doesn't let me have to do sudo position permissions, but whatever, we'll use another example. Let's go to CD, which will take me to the home directory. So when I do ls here, if I do, like I said, if I do cd, no, I'm sorry. If I do cat file1.txt, it works here. Why does it work here? Is because I'm inside this folder already. I'm already inside the Professor Linux folder, which is here. I'm inside of here. And the reason why you see this tilde here is because you're in your home folder. It doesn't show you Professor Linux here. Like when you move to other directory, it shows you. Is because by default, it knows this is your home folder. It knows that your user Professor Linux, and it knows that you are the user, and it knows that you're inside your home folder. That's why the tilde sign comes. So if I was in somebody else's home folder and I was allowed to do it per se, it will have the person's name here. So like I said, this is just now that we're in our home folder. That's why this command works, is because I'm already in this folder, and in this folder I have file1.txt. If I use it the absolute path, right? I can still use it here too if I want. It will still work. But you usually want to use this when you're not in the directory. Like if I'm in /home and I want to look inside of text, I can't look inside of here. I have to tell it, hey, look inside of here, And then inside of this folder, look for a file named file1.txt. So that's the absolute path. Absolute path is the full address. So anytime you see the full address, that means that it's in your, it's an absolute path. Or a path means it's the 100% way how to get there. Start here, move there. When you do relative path, you're like saying, hey, go here. But when you say go here, you're not telling it. When you say go here, it looks where you're at. It assumes it's somewhere where you're at, like in the file directory, right? So that's why you'll get an error if it doesn't exist. So by you telling it exactly where it is, you always get it correct because it knows exactly where it's located. Does that make a little bit more sense? And if it doesn't, just let me know what part of it didn't make sense so I can try to go over that piece of information to try to clarify that. And by the way, we'll go over the cat command also, but I want to go over the navigational commands first. That way we go over the cat command a little bit more. But essentially the cat command just looks at the text inside of the file and then it prints it out. Just like if you have like Notepad or like a text file, or like a note, all it does, it looks inside that note and it grabs the text out of it and it shows it to you. That's all it does. Any questions at all?
Yes, I guess my question or my little suggestion, in a sense, most of us, this is very foreign to us, right?
Yes.
So even the mere fact of just being on VM where, and entering the stuff, like that process, we are still even just getting used to it. So I think, I know I might just be speaking for myself, but I think like you moving a bit fast, like I'm kind of lost if I'm
Okay.
being honest, right?
No worries. Okay. I have an idea. How about this? I'm gonna give you guys some commands. That way we all can become the same exact user. That way there wouldn't be any issues or everything. So I'm gonna give you guys some commands. We're gonna type them in. Just make sure that as long as you have the proper permissions, like if your root, if you have your root password, you can do this. But let's do this. I'm gonna tell you, we're gonna become a certain user. All of us will become a same user, but I'll tell you how to do it. For now, we'll just follow the commands, but later on, you will know what those commands are. That way, we can all have the same exact like things, like very similar outputs.
Right.
Per se. All right. So just as long as you're the root user, or if you're a regular user, you can try to use this command. So we'll try to type in the sudo command whenever everyone's ready. And then once everyone's close to ready, then we'll type in the next command. We'll do piece by piece. And we'll go through the process to make sure that we have these this set up really quick.
So like right now I'm the root user. That's okay. I could still
Perfect.
follow.
Okay. Oh yeah, you don't even have to do sudo. Sudo, if you're not the root user, then you can use sudo. But you can use sudo as root. It doesn't make a difference. So
Okay.
Yep.
Baf and the rest of you guys, I believe the service you guys created, you guys didn't create individual accounts. So majority of you guys should all be root users, unless maybe when we get down the class, we create users. Then I think you guys will get to that point. But right now, I think all your accounts are just root users.
Right. Okay.
Okay, perfect. If that's the case, then just in case if you are perfect, if you're not, I mean, it shouldn't hurt if you do the sudo. You can just take it off if you like. So we're going to do user add. So this is just adding a user to your machine.
Okay.
And then we'll just call it Tom because it's a very easy name to remember. Sudo user add Tom. And then once you guys enter this command, just let me know when you guys are close, and then we'll just enter it.
Yeah, mine is saying usage, user add, options, login, user add. It's a whole bunch of things on the screen.
Yep, I see. It usually spits out like how to use a command.
Okay.
So did you put sudo user add Tom?
Yes, that's what I did, and it spit out all those things. It didn't come to this next thing for me.
Okay, are you the root user? If you type it,
Yes.
so when you type in who am I, does it say root? The
Yeah,
command.
I was the root user.
Okay.
But right now, the
Yeah,
whole script.
Baf, I think you're already a root user, so you don't need the sudo. He mentioned that already. So you could have just typed user add Tom,
Yep. Mhm.
and you should be fine.
Oh,
Remember, pay attention.
okay. So right
Take your
now,
time. No worries. Take your time.
See, when I did it, it's saying user time already exists. So I mean,
Yeah, you probably typed it in like twice, probably by accident. Because if it already exists, that means that you probably already ran the command.
okay.
Okay. So once everyone types in the user add Tom, it should make Tom. So we're doing a very basic user. Now we have to set the password. That way, when you want to log into it or switch into it, you have to give it as password. I give like a password like LOL or 123, whatever is easy because it doesn't really matter because it's more for testing purposes. So the next command you're gonna type in is the PSSWD. So you're gonna type in like it's like password, but like you're not gonna put the O and R in there. It's gonna be pass WD. And then once you do that, you're gonna type in Tom, which was the user you just created. And then since you guys are root, you guys should be fine. And then you set your password for the user. 2 times you have to put it in there. I'm making an easy password. Once you set the password for Tom, let me know.
So when I did the user add time, right?
Yeah.
I didn't see the password asking me for the password.
Oh no, it doesn't ask. Yeah, unless you have to like you can set a password, but there's a flag to do it. But the way we did it, we didn't do it that way. We just added the user Tom without the password.
Oh, so I did the
Mhm.
add time, and I'm now on the next one. What do I type?
The next one is password Tom.
Password time. Okay.
Without the O and R inside the word command. Yep. And then once you do that, it will ask you for the password twice to type it in. Something very simple, very easy. I recommend something very simple like 123 or whatever is easy because remember for security purposes, obviously that's bad, but for this case, for just the ease of use would be recommended.
Yes, I'm with you now.
Okay, cool. So everybody has their Tom user created.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. So now we can clear the screen. You can type in the clear command or Control L. And the reason you want to do this is because when you see a lot of clutter, sometimes it gets complicated, confusing, and just too much to look at. So I like to clear the screen every time. When I move on, I like to keep everything beautiful and looking good. So the next thing you're going to do, you're going to type in SU, which stands for switch user, and we're going to switch to Tom. And then you can press enter. If you're the root user, you usually don't need a password, but I'm not the root user at the moment, so I'm going to put in the password. And then once you're done, you should be a Tom user or the username Tom. And once you're there, let me know.
Yep, here.
I'm there.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, so now we will clear the screen. As we can see, we are all Tom. It should be the same exact thing. Our home folder should be blank, all that good stuff. It should be, very almost the same structure and everything. All right, let me just do CD so I can go home. If you guys want to type in CD, make sure that you're in the home folder because if you switched as root, you might still be in your root home folder. So if you type in CD, you'll be in Tom's home folder. And once you're at Tom's home folder, let me know.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
And is everyone on the same page? Guys that are not talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Okay. All right. So if we type in the pwd command, remember you guys, it stands for print working directory. It just tells you where you are at currently in the file system. Right, it should say /home/Tom.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So right now, since we're inside the Tom directory, right? Right now we're gonna make another folder and we're gonna call it folder one. And the way we're gonna do it, we're gonna use the make directory command. So in the notes that I have in the class, I actually have the commands listed there too, and some detail. Just if you guys wanted to follow along, it's in the OneNotes class thing. It's on day 2. Just FYI, just if you know you're curious and stuff like that. If you wanted to have something as a reference as we go along, it's in the actual class for day 2.
Thanks.
Yep. So we're gonna make a directory now. So MK stands for make in this instance, and then we're gonna type in mkdir, which stands for make directory. And then once we make the directory, we're gonna call our directory. We can call it folder one, make it easier, something very simple. So make directory, we'll call it folder one. And then once that's finished, you shouldn't see any output. Usually in Linux, when you don't see output, usually the command is successful. Most of the time, if you see if there's an error, you will know most of the time. So like after you type in make dir folder one, it shouldn't give you any output. And then once you do that, if you type in the ls command, you will see that you have a directory called folder one.
Yes, sir.
Got it.
Okay. Nice. Okay.
Everybody else good?
Yeah.
Okay. So now we're going to type in cd folder one, and we're going to go inside that folder. We just made, remember, we're inside the Tom, we're in the Tom directory, and Tom made a brand new directory called folder one, which is here. So we're in the Tom folder, and then inside this folder, we have a folder one. And now we're going to change directory into here. And this is called relative path because since we're in Tom's home folder, we're in Tom's home, I guess home folder, or we're inside of Tom's directory or whatever. Inside of Tom, there's folder one. So when we do cd folder one, it knows that we're here. And inside of here, there's a folder one. So it knows to change to folder one. So when we type in cd folder one, you shouldn't see anything. You should probably see this little prompt change if that's how your Linux distro. Some distros are different, but you should see something here that might say folder one, or you might not see nothing, but usually it'll tell you folder one here.
Yeah, I see it.
Okay. Okay. So once you're in folder one, if you type in pwd again, it tells you where you're at. Now you're inside folder one. And once we are in folder one, we're going to use a the touch command. And I'll put this in the notes real quick for us. Okay, so see if I can put this in here for you guys too. We have them here. I'm going to change it up really quick for you guys. the touch command there for you guys. Okay, cool. So we're going to use the touch command. And what this one does, it makes a empty file. So you know when you guys open up a notepad or like a text file or something, or like a word page or a notepad or a sticky note. So right now we're doing something like this. So we're opening up an empty file. That's all we're doing. So when we touch, we're going to call this file 1. And there should be nothing inside of this.
So mkdir is for making directories and touch is for making files.
Yes. And then once we touch file 1, like we make one, and if we type in ls, we should see file 1.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. And after we do that, we will be making a folder 1. I mean, I'm sorry, folder 2. We'll call it something different, not to be confusing. We'll make folder 2 in there also. And then once you press enter, you type in ls, and you should see folder 2 and file 1.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. And now we're going to cd into folder 1, which we're going to change directory into, I'm sorry, folder 2. My bad. I'm sorry. So we're going to change into folder 2. And then once we change into folder 2, we can clear the screen so you can make this more easier to see. And once we do that, you can do pwd, and it tells you where you're at. You're in folder 2.
So you did a CD folder 2?
Oh no, I just did pwd. Oh yeah, yes. CD folder 2, yes. To get inside of it. Yes. So when we CD in it, we change the directory and we changed into the folder 2 directory.
Okay.
Yes.
And when we did the PWD, it took us to home, time, folder 1, folder 2.
Yeah. So the PWD doesn't do anything. It doesn't change anything about where you're at or anything. All PWD does, it just tells you where you're at. It's like it's like if you're asking like what's your volume, right? Your volume might be at 60%. So when you ask what's my volume, Siri, my volume's at 60%. So it doesn't do nothing. It's telling you, is giving you some reference about what's going on in your environment. So it's pretty much just telling you where you are right now. It's like a map. And the map is telling you where you are in the map.
Right, like the path.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yes, just like the path. So the PWD just tells you the path where you're at, pretty much like a map. Right now, like, yes, you're in the US, but not just in the US. Think about every single state is a directory, right? So first you have the US, which is the root file system. And then each state that you have is a folder. So once you go into Virginia, you go into another folder. You might go into Woodbridge. Now, Woodbridge is another folder. Once you go inside a folder of Woodbridge, what part of Woodbridge? And it keeps going down the line. So that's how, when you type in like PWD, maybe I can ask Google, where am I? Oh, you are in the United States of America, in the state of Virginia, in Woodbridge. You can even get more detailed than that. But the whole point is that PWD just tells you where you're at. And remember, when you see this, it just tells you the folder that you're in, or I mean the directory that you're in. So when you see this, it doesn't give you the full path or the full, like if I ask like, where am I? It will say, hey, I'm in Woodbridge, Virginia. But it's not telling you you're in the US. It's not telling you that you're in Virginia. It just tells you that you're in Woodbridge. So this just tells you where you're at the moment. It doesn't give you all the extra details that you need to know. So now everyone type in CD, and once you type in CD, it'll take you back to your home folder. And once you're at your home folder, you type in PWD again, and you're going to ask it, where am I now? Now you're in the Tom folder, which is Tom's home folder. And to make this less confusing, to try to explain this, The slash home folder, it's a directory for everybody's home folder. So if you make a username Sally, a username Cindy, Bob, whatever their names are, each of them will have their own folder, and each folder is their home folder. So the directory home holds everyone's folder, right? It's like a file cabinet, like for HR, it's like a file cabinet, and everyone has a file, right? And inside that file, they have their personal stuff inside of it. So think about this home folder like a file system, right? And inside that, it's like a file cabinet. And inside that file cabinet, right, you have Tom, right? We might have Cindy. But right now, we look inside of Tom's folder, and in Tom's folder, he might have pictures, he might have documents, he might have like stuff like a download folder. Does everyone understand that concept a little bit?
Yes, way better now.
Okay. All right. So now that we are in this home folder of Tom, we are going to use CD, and we're going to do this intentionally to show you why it doesn't work. So when I do CD folder 2, you guys should get an error saying no such file or directory.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So the reason why you're getting this error, because remember what I said, it's like a map, right? Right now in the map, where am I? I'm here. I'm in Tom's folder. I remember in Tom's folder, he might have documents, he might have other stuff in there, right? But guess what? Folder 2 is inside of here, right? Like example, if I'm in the United States and I say, hey, take me to Dallas, guess what? I'm going to get an error because what Dallas are you talking about? I don't understand. What do you mean by Dallas? There's Dallas, Texas. There might be another Dallas. There might be more than one city. There's a lot of cities that have the same name. There's Springfield, Ohio, Springfield, Virginia. There's 2 Springfields, but it won't work because a computer needs the exact path. The first thing that it does, right? Let's say like if you're inside the folder, it looks inside of Tom's folder and it sees there's only folder 1, right? So when you do this, when you do CD folder 2, it doesn't work because it's not in your relative path. If I did CD folder 1, it will work. Why? Because when I type in ls, folder 1 is here. Folder 1 is in Tom's folder. So inside of Tom's folder, right, he has a directory called folder 1. So if I CD'd into this one, it will work. But when I do CD folder 2, it doesn't know what I'm talking about because I have to be specific. I have to tell it, hey, CD, which we're going to type in CD, we're going to type in period slash. You know what? To make it easier, let's take the period out right now, and I'll tell you what it means. It's very simple. I just don't want to overcomplicate things. So we'll type in folder 1, CD folder 1 slash folder 2. And also you guys can double tab. If there's a tab button on your keyboard, if you double tab a command, it'll fill out the whole command or the directory for you. It's really smart. It's called bash completion. So it completes the sentences for you or whatever. Like if you delete it and you type in FOL, you can type in double tab it. It'll know it's folder 2. But let me know when you guys have typed this in, CD folder 1 and then slash folder 2.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. So now, since we typed all this information in, now if we do PWD, where are we? We're in folder 2. Earlier, when I wanted to move the folder 2, why did I get this error? Is because I was in Tom's folder. And inside of Tom's folder, right, which is his home folder, that's why we see that tilde. This is his home folder. So when you see the tilde, remember, this is where you're at. So since we're in Tom's home folder, all he had was a folder named folder 1. So when you're doing a CD, it doesn't understand. You know, it's like folder 2 is in here. What are you talking about? So this is the relative path, right? If I went to when I did CD, if I do CD folder 1, it will work because it looks here. But since I want it to go to folder 2, right? I have to tell it the absolute path. I have to say CD, go inside of folder 1, and then go inside of folder 2. And that's why when I do PWD, you can see I'm in folder 2 now. Does that make any sense for you guys?
Yes, it does.
Okay. And who's someone else wasn't didn't had an issue with it? Do you still understand it, or do you want to go do any other explanation for it?
Are you referring to me or?
Oh, I think yeah, I think it was you, right? That had an issue earlier.
Correct.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. So what's the difference if you want to just generalize it, so that's why it can help your understanding a little bit more. If you just want to give me a general example, what's the difference between an absolute path and a relative path?
So you asking if I understand it now from how you
Yeah.
did it before?
Yes.
I guess with the paths, it's a pattern that you have to follow, right? So
Yeah.
you gave an example with the states. You know, you can't go through a certain state without going through what's the word that I'm missing? I'll use what you just used prior with the folder 1 and Tom and folder 2.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, exactly what you're saying. All I'm saying is that when you're saying the relative path, it's because you're basically saying to move. If I say move folder 2, it doesn't work because you have to tell it exactly where it's located. And if I did folder 1, it'll work. Why? Because I'm already inside of my folder that I'm in. There's something called folder 1, and that's why that one will work.
Right.
Like for example, if somebody makes us like this, they call it a script. So it's a script is some command, right? If somebody wrote a command, right, and they had CD folder 1, okay, but let's say that they have to be in the home folder. What if they're not in the home folder? What if they're in another directory? The command will fail. Like their script will fail because it's using a relative path. It's assuming that you're in your home folder, right? But if you wrote the script like this, it will always work because it's giving you exactly where it's at.
Which is the actual path.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. All right. We're going to clear the screen. And then we're going to type in CD to go back home, try to clear the screen so you have a fresh look. So you want to have it so you're in your home folder with Tom.
So CD always takes you back home.
Always. Yep. To your home folder.
Yeah.
So whatever user you are, like if you're the root user, it'll take you for the root user. Remember, it doesn't take you to the /home/ your username or whatever your name is. Root users always go to the root home folder, which is /root.
Right.
Yes. Just just want to let you guys know.
Okay. And all those type of symbols and definitions will be in the notes, right?
I'm going to add them in. Yes. I'm going to let me make a note of that right now. Okay. I just added in there. I'm going to put that in after the course. I'm going to get that up and ready for you guys. All right. You're welcome. So right now, remember the tilde means your home folder, right? So now the CD command, can someone explain what that does?
Change the directory.
Okay, perfect. Yes, it changes the directory. So when you're changing the directory, remember the way you use it, you type in CD, and then you just type in where you want to go. If you want, this is the absolute path. If you're telling it exactly where you want to go, and if it's inside your path, you can do CD folder 1 because you're already inside that folder. It's in your relative path, and that's what CD is. CD is to move around where you want it to go, and PWD is good because it gives you a map of where you're currently at. That's what a pwd. That's what it's a good command to use to know where you're at. Because right here, you should know by instinct, especially when you start using Linux a lot more, you'll understand that right now that you're inside your home folder. And that's the way you know, is because you see this tilde sign and you can see that you're in your home folder. And now that we're here, right, the next command that I want to use, that we already used it before, but I want to use it so we can delete something. So this will be the mkdir command. So we're going to make a directory now, and we're going to call it folder 0. And remember, when you name your stuff, you can name it whatever you want. And the reason I want to tell you why is because in Windows is a little bit different. Technically speaking, you want to do the conventional names, like a text file, it ends in .txt, a PDF ends in .pdf, a JPEG ends in .jpeg, right? In Windows, those are called file extensions. So in Linux, there's no file extensions. But usually, if I have like a file, I want to put .txt. If it's a picture, if it's a PDF, I want to do .pdf. You don't have to do that, right, in Linux at all. But it's a good practice to do it. That way, you know, like what file it is. And the reason why it works so well in Linux, how Linux knows, is that Linux, each file has like some data inside of it. They call it metadata. So it's information about the file. And inside that metadata, it tells you, oh, this is a picture, it's a PDF, or it's a text. But Linux knows itself. So even if you don't put the extension, Linux will know what kind of file it is. But I'll show you a command how to find out what kind of file it is a little bit later on. I just wanted to let you know. The reason why I'm naming it like this is because you can name it what you want. Just for you guys might be asking, why are you naming it this? Like, is there a reason why? You can name it pretty much whatever you want. You just want to make sure that you use good standards. If it's like a text, picture, or something like that. Now that we do make dir, and we type in ls, you should see that folder 0 should exist. Once you have folder 0 up, you want to use this command, which is called remove directory. And then when you type in remove directory, you want to delete the directory 0 that we just made. So RM stands for remove, and dir is for directory. And now we're going to delete the directory. And once we delete it, we can type in the ls command, and you should see that it's gone now.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Now we're going to try something else. Once you guys have reached that step, the next one we're going to do is rmdir folder 1. And if you try to do it, you should get something like an error like this. Failed to remove folder 1, directory not empty.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. And the reason why you're getting this is because by default, it's like a protection mechanism, right? What if you accidentally erase the wrong folder? You don't want it to delete, right? But if you want to, force it, you can use, remember, don't use this command if you're on accident, because you can actually delete your root file system by accident and it can bork the whole system, or like kind of mess it up. So you can do rm-r, which means, so the difference between remove directory and remove just means remove. And the -r means recursively. So recursively, what that means, it's inside of this folder, whatever's inside of this. Because remember, we had a file in here, like file1.txt. We had like a text file in here, remember? So we have to use this rm command, which stands for remove. -r stands for recursively. So basically, whatever's inside this folder, or whatever's inside that folder, and that folder. So anything inside this folder, it will look at everything inside of it and it will delete it. And once you do that, you should get like, you shouldn't get any error or any issue. And we type in ls, nothing will appear because everything is deleted.
So if I may ask a question here.
Yes.
So we did remove directory space folder 0, no problems, right?
Yes.
When we got to folder 1, it gave us that field to remove
Yes.
time. Was that because, like you said, in folder 1 contains some other files too?
Yes, that's why. Because it
Okay.
wasn't empty. Yep. Because the directory is not empty. It's more like a protection mechanism.
Okay.
Usually, like when you go online, some of like the Linux users, some like who are like not good people, will tell people to type in this rm-r, and then they also add the f. If you add the f, that means you force it. Like you're forcing it to do it, even if it doesn't want to. Like you're forcing it. I don't care what you say. I want you to delete it. And then they put the root file system there. That's what people do to mess up people's system. So you never want to do that. So when you're using these commands, you really want to be careful what you're removing recursively, because you can't really go back unless you have a backup or you have some type of protection mechanisms in place, or some, backup or something, like I said. But the reason why we have to use the rm command, this is a different command, and this command is specifically for removing like folders, files, things like that. So it's like remove directory, but they call it rm-r. That's what you can use to remove something that's recursively. Let me check something really quick. I think you can do it with this command, but I'm so used to using the rm command to delete stuff. So let's see. I don't think you can do it. Nope. Remove directory. See, you see how the command says right here? You see the rmdir only removes empty directories.
Correct.
So this command does not remove any directory that is not full. And the description is remove directories if they are empty. So that's why that, yep. And that's why that command doesn't delete anything. That's why it says directory not empty.
Okay.
And if I do the man rm command, which we'll go over the man pages, which is very essential, we'll do a class on that to help you also learn some stuff on some commands more. If I do rm command, you see here, rm stands for remove files or directories. And then we use that -r. So you see -r, remove directories and their contents. So that the remove directory means you want to remove that directory and whatever's inside of it, which is the contents, like the files, the more directories, or whatever. So that's why we use this command, rm, because this one removes files and directories, and the rmdir doesn't.
Okay.
Okay.
And the one to stay away from is the rm-r
F.
f. Yeah.
Yep. So if you go here, oops. So as you hear, if you can see here, it says -f is forcing. Ignore non-existent files and arguments. Never prompt. What that means, do not ask me if I want to delete it. Just delete it. Because if you want to delete something, it usually says, do you want to delete file 1? Yes or no? Do you want to delete file 2? Yes or no? Do you want to delete file 3? Yes or no? So it's saying, don't tell me nothing, just delete everything. I don't care. All right. Now the next command, we'll try the copy one, but okay. Right now we'll do the touch command. All right. So remember, if we do the touch command, right? If I do touch file, the touch command, remember, makes files and stuff like that. So we're gonna make a file called file.txt. And the reason why we're putting the .text is because we want to make sure that we have a clean naming convention, because for organization purposes and for other people that's on the system, you want something with conventions. Conventions, is a standard that everyone withholds. That way people can understand each other's stuff. So this is the standard that we use. So when you're touching it, which means that you're making an empty file, you're going to be using file1.txt, and this will make an empty file for you. And then once you're done, and you type in ls, you should see file1.txt. And I will also be putting some homework in this evening, which I'm going to give you some assignments or things you can do, like some challenges. Like, I want you to make this folder and this file and delete this. Like I'll try to make something where it's more interactive also to practice on your own time so you can get more familiarity with the command.
Great.
Yep. So we have the touch file one.txt. We have file one.txt. The next thing we want to do is make a directory, and we're going to call it folder one. And once you do that, you type in ls. You can see that your folder one is there. And the reason we need it is because we need it for a command that we're going to be running, or some commands we're going to be running. All right. Once everyone has wrote that command, let me know.
Done.
Okay. Okay. So, okay. So the reason why we did this, you guys, you might be asking why, is because the next command we're going to be using is the copy command. So the copy command is used to copy files and directories. So you can copy a directory and a file. So the way the command works, I will show you guys. So first, if we try to do file, if I try to do copy file one dot file, sorry, you type in file and then type in the tab. Like type in the tab on your keyboard and let me know if it completes itself. If you guys experience that it completes itself on its own.
So what you want us to do? CP then touch what tab?
Yeah, type in the F and then type in tab. It should auto complete it for you. Like file one, like you type in FI and then type in double tab or type in the tab, like the tab, the key that's called tab on your keyboard. It should complete the command for you.
Yes.
Okay. So
Yeah,
that's,
it did.
yep, those are called bash completion. So when you use it, like basically smart enough to know that you're trying to use a command named copy. So the next thing it does when you type in the double tab is going to look inside your relative path. Remember, your relative path is where you're at, right? So when you do that, it will try to check your relative path and do it. If you're doing an absolute path, it can also fill that in. So that's just like that's why when you see like people with Linux, sometimes they look, oh my God, like they're moving so fast, but it's really because they're using the tab too, to move. It also types it for them. They don't have to type all that. So it helps you become a lot more efficient too. And then also not having to remember like how it's spelled sometimes, depending on how it's spelled. So when you're copying stuff, right, in Linux, right, there's two things you need. The first one is the source. The source is what do you want to copy, right? And remember, right now I'm using the relative path, right? You see, like I'm using the relative path. So when I'm copying this, there's two ways to do it. I can do it this way, /home/Tom, right? This is the proper way to do it. But if you did it like this, it will only work if you're inside the folder that has file1.txt. If you're not in the folder that has file1.txt, it will not work if you're trying to copy that file. So if we type in /home/Tom, you guys can do it either way. As long as you're in your home folder, you're following along, you can do it relative path, or you can do the absolute path like I'm doing just to show you guys, but you do not have to. All right.
Okay.
All right. Once we do that, the first part is the source. What do you want to copy? The second part is a destination. So the second destination, I can do folder one. I can do it like this, right? Because this is the destination. Remember, this is the relative path, right? Because I'm already here. That's where we're going to move it. But the proper way is you want to use /home/Tom folder one, right? So if I use this command, it should work. If I use this command, it should work the same way, because inside the folder that we're in, Tom, we have folder one, which is here, and we have file one. I just want to move file. I want to make a copy. I'm sorry, I'm not moving it. I want to make a copy of file1.txt inside of folder one. So that's the reason why it works, is because this is my relative path. Now, if I press enter, you shouldn't get any output. Everything should come out good. And then if we type in ls, here we can see file1.txt, and then we can see folder 1. Now, what we can do is type in cd folder 1. And after you're in folder 1, you can type in ls again, and you can see you have a copy of the file in your folder 1. All right, let me know when everyone has got to this point.
Got it.
Okay,
I'm good.
cool. Now, if you type in the cd command and you type in ls, file1.txt is still in your home folder. But you also have a copy in folder 1. So this is how you copy files. I'm going to clear this up really quick. Type in ls. All right, so as we can see here now, when we type in the ls or whatever, and we see file1.txt, and then we see folder 1, remember, we have a copy of file1.txt inside of the folder. So remember, when we're doing the ls command, I just want to let you guys know, there's 2 ways to do the ls commands. Now that you know about relative path and absolute path, right? I can do ls, right, here in the Tom folder, right? Because I'm in Tom's folder. But guess what? I can do ls in the folder 1 also. So when you're doing ls, if you don't add what you want to check, like basically what you're saying here, when you do ls, it's saying check the files in the directory where I'm currently at. That's what ls means. When there's no argument, this is called an argument, right? If there's an argument, just means like you're giving it something that you want it to do, like you're giving it an option, right? So if I just put an ls, right, it will just show you what you have in the current folder you're in, right, in your relative path. I can do ls folder 1, and it should give me the text file that's inside of there, because I'm saying, hey, list the files and directory inside of this folder. And if I type in ls normally, it's going to give me the file1.txt and the folder 1 inside of my home Tom directory, because since I'm already here and I type in ls, we can see what files that we're getting in the current directory that we're in. When I do ls folder 1, since it's in my relative path, it's saying, hey, please list the files and directory inside of folder 1. Because since you're in the home folder and you're telling ls, you're saying, don't do ls where I'm at, but do ls on folder 1. I want to see what's inside of there. And when you run that command, you get file1.txt. Does that make any sense at all to you guys?
Yes, it does. So quick question.
Yes.
Let's say I was doing the ls, right? ls space, and I
Yes.
put /home /Tom /folder 1. It will
Yes.
still work, right?
Yes, because
that's me using the absolute path.
yes. So we can do it right here. /home /Tom /folder 1. You still get file 1 because this is the absolute path. The only reason this works, this is because when I type in ls, you see I'm in my whole folder. So when I do ls folder 1, it works.
Right. So you don't have to put the basically the
Full
/
full
full
path.
path
No,
on.
no.
Gotcha.
One mistake that you guys should watch out for: never do ls/this, because when you do this, you're saying there's a directory that I'm looking for that's in the root file system, but this doesn't exist. Do you see what I'm saying? Like when you do, if I type in ls/ right, folder 1 doesn't exist. So some people will do an accident /folder 1 because they're trying to go on folder 1, but you don't do this, because when you type in the /, you're saying it start from the top, go inside of home, and then inside of home, go to Tom, and then inside of Tom, go to folder 1. But when you do /folder 1, it says, okay, go to the root file system and go inside of folder 1. Oh, folder 1 doesn't exist, so it doesn't work. This works, /home works because home exists in the root directory. You see in the root directory where it starts, it exists. But if you do /folder 1, it doesn't work. That's why you have to do /folder 1 if you're in the relative path. If you're not in the relative path, you have to give it the absolute path.
Mm.
Does that make any sense at all?
Yes, it does. Because basically, it's through the home that we have Tom, then folder one.
Yes. So if I did ls folder one with a slash, it wouldn't work.
Right.
So it doesn't exist because the computer is taking your argument literally. It's like saying there's no folder one in the root file system. It doesn't exist. That's why it fails.
And if you did ls / Tom, it wouldn't even go because, yeah, okay.
Yep, it wouldn't go because the root. If I do ls on the root file system, you see,
There's no Tom.
yeah, it doesn't exist. So that's why if I did /home/Tom, I'm sorry, let me do ls/home/Tom. That's how it works. I can also do ls. Why? Because I'm already inside the Tom folder.
Correct.
So if I do /home Tom, I'm giving that absolute path. But since I'm already inside of Tom, since I'm already inside of this directory, I can just type in ls. Like you see here, I added here like the home Tom, and this one I didn't. Why did I do it on this one? It's because I'm already in the Tom folder. I was just doing this because you can do it this way also. But
Gotcha.
like this is if you're like somewhere else, let's say like you're in the device directory, let's say for instance, and you want to look inside a /Tom's folder, you have to use the absolute path. Do you see what I'm saying? Since you're not in there, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't work. You have to, you know what I mean? Because it checks where you're at first. And if,
Right.
if something doesn't exist where you're at, it doesn't make any sense. So one thing I want to show you guys, this will come up in the future with scripts, which I'll explain to you like later on in the course. So when you're doing CD, right? And I do folder one, let's say I'm not moving in there, but I just want to show you guys. If I did /folder one, right? You don't have to put anything, right? But sometimes when you're running a script is a little bit different, but we'll go over that. So you can also do /. And the reason why this one works, I'm going to tell you why this works, is because if I do it like this, it doesn't work, right? Because it starts from the root file system, remember? But if you put a period in the front, you're telling it, check my current directory. So all this is doing is this will work. If you do this, this will work. And why does it work? Is because this period means here. Like the period in Linux, it means it references the position you're in. So think about the period is equal to PWD, right? PWD, right? That's what like your current directory, right? So example, if I went to the home folder, if I went to the root folder and I did CD period / folder one, it's not going to work because in my current directory, which is the root file system, folder one doesn't exist. Folder one does not exist. The period is just saying check my directory where I'm in and go into folder one. But if I try to go to folder one inside the root directory, it doesn't work because it doesn't exist, right? Hold on. Right? So if I did CD period, all that means is that where I'm at now, I want you to look for a folder -1. And where am I at now? I'm in Tom's folder. And what's in Tom folder? Folder one's in Tom folder. So when I say CD /folder one, you see folder one. So remember, the period just means here. So this will work. And this wouldn't work because this is literally saying start at the root file system. But when you use period in Linux, anytime you use a period in Linux, it means your current area, where you are at that moment. Does that make any sense at all? Or is there anything that you might not understand about the period at all? It's just a symbol.
So that stands for parent position.
No, the period just stands for where you are at. It's just saying, hey, I want you to look where. So it says CD. I want you to change directory. Check the folder that I'm inside of right now, and inside of my folder, I want you to go to the directory which starts with a /folder one. The reason that works is because it says, I want you to check my directory. What does my directory have? It has file1.txt and it has folder, right? So this period is just saying check where I'm at. If I want to slash home, if I want to slash, let's say we'll go to home. If I want to slash home, right? And I try to do cd/folder1, it won't work because inside of my folder that I'm in now, you see, we have 3 users or three directories, but that directory doesn't match folder 1. So this period just says check where I'm currently at. So if I did cd tom, so cd/home is this, cd/folder1 is the same thing as cd folder1, and it's the same thing as cd/home/tom/folder1. These are all the same thing.
Okay.
Does that make more sense? And if I take the period off, it won't work because now it's actually checking at the root file system. And if I put the period, all I'm saying is to check here. So you don't really have to do this for directories, but the reason why this exists, right? The reason why this exists, just to go over it for you guys really quick, is because in Linux, when you write a script, right? And you try to, let's say if you want to run a script or something like that, and let's say your script name is CD, right? Or let's say your script name is ls, right? ls works because it checks a directory, and that directory has all the commands for Linux. So when you make your own script, right, and you try to run the command, it doesn't work because it looks inside the folder where all the commands for Linux is. So when you type in ls, it looks inside of the folder where all the commands are. But when you write your own custom script, you have to tell it, hey, I want you to grab this script.sh. So the reason why you write this is because your script isn't inside the folders where Linux checks for commands. So that's why you have to tell it sometimes, hey, I want you to check in my folder and run this script. Because if you don't do that, then your script doesn't work. If you try to do it like this, it doesn't work. It won't work at all because the script isn't being ran. But I'll explain that further in detail. But the whole point of the period is just if you guys see it later on, is a period just means where you are currently. So the period just is just saying that where you are at that moment. And right now, I'm inside of Tom's folder. And inside of Tom's folder, we have file1.txt and folder 1. So when I say cd/folder1, it says, I want you to look inside of the directory that I'm in. And then from here, I want you to go to a directory named folder. You see that slash, right? Let me show you real quick. You guys are going to be like even more amazed when I show it to you. This will make a lot more sense if I do it like this. Okay. When you do a period, right? I'm basically saying, I want you to check where I'm at. You see? So where is he? He's in Tom's folder, right? So he's in Tom's folder. And inside of Tom's folder, when you do the period, you're saying inside of Tom's folder, I want you to go inside the /folder1. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So remember, the period just means like look inside of the folder that I'm in. Right now, I'm inside of Tom. And what's inside of Tom? File1.txt and folder 1. So dot period, and then you go to folder 1. That's the next place you want to go, right? That's the next directory you want to go. But remember, if I take this away, this period away, it's basically doing this. It's starting from the actual root file system. And when I put the period here, it's basically referencing Tom, and then inside of Tom's folder, which is the period, inside of Tom's folder, which I am here right now, I want you to open up this folder 1. Did that explanation help everyone to understand what the period means in front of it?
Yes.
Okay. But remember, the period isn't a necessity. The only time periods are used is if you're running a script or something. But I wanted to show you just so you don't get confused with it. That way it makes more sense. All right. So we're going to delete this. So remember the last command we used was the copy command, right? We copied a file into folder 1. So if we do ls on folder 1, we can see that the file 1.txt is there, right? All right. Now we're going to delete the file 1.txt in folder 1. And the way we do it is we can type in the rm command. Remember the rm command? So we're going to type in the rm command. And then since we are inside of Tom's folder, we can use the relative path if you want. So we can do rm. Sorry, go ahead.
Yes, I'm still in home. So how do I get to?
Oh, you're fine. So if you type in ls, just type in ls, you should have file 1.txt in folder 1.
Now, when I type in ls, it says Tom.
Oh, okay. So you're inside the home folder. So just type in cd to go back to your, yep. And now if you type in ls, you should be in your home folder of Tom.
Correct.
So when you're in the home, you're basically in the home directory, which stores all the user's actual home folders. So the home folder is a little confusing because it's like it's like when you say home, do you mean the home folder or do you mean Tom's folder? So the home folder in general, when we're talking about a user, it's the folder with their name on it. The home directory. So the home directory. So to make it easier, the home directory is the directory where all the home users are stored. So this is home directory, and this is your home folder. Your home folder is if I'm Tom, this will be my home folder, and this will be the home directory, which holds all the home folders for the users. So that's why you saw Tom in there, because that was in your home, that was your home folder.
Okay.
Okay. So now if you type in ls, you see file 1.txt, and then you should see folder 1. All right. And now what we're going to do, we're going to delete the file 1.txt that's inside the folder 1. And why we're deleting it is because I want to show you another command, which is the move command. Right now, we use the copy command. What did we do? We copied file 1.txt from Tom's home folder, and then we copied another copy of it inside of folder 1 directory. So right now we have two file 1.txt. We have the original, which is in Tom's folder, and then we have another one in Tom's folder, which has another folder named folder 1, and inside of there, there's file 1.txt. So what we're going to do, we're going to do remove folder 1, and then the file 1.txt. But remember, I'm using the relative path. So that's why it's working, because I'm already in Tom's folder, which has folder 1 in there. And then from here, we have file 1.txt. And if you press enter, it should delete because it's empty. There's nothing there. And plus the remove command, that's what it does. So once you deleted it, if you type in ls, you should, ls doesn't really matter because we deleted it from the home folder. We gave it the path of where it's at. So it doesn't really matter. If you do ls on folder 1, you should see nothing. You shouldn't see any output because we deleted the file 1.txt that was in there. And once you're there, just let me know, and then we can move on to the moving part of stuff.
Completed.
Nice. Okay. So now we're going to use the move command. So remember, you can use a relative path or absolute path, whatever you like, whatever you're more comfortable with. I'm using the relative path because it's a lot easier, and I'm already inside the folder. So since I'm already here, I can do move file 1.txt, and I'm using the relative path. And I want us to move that file 1.txt, which is the source, and then the destination is folder 1. This should be the destination. And when you press enter, you shouldn't get any output because the command completed successfully. And then when you type in ls, you should see that file 1.txt is missing because we moved it from Tom's home folder to Tom's directory called folder 1. And if we do ls on the folder 1 directory, we can see that file 1.txt exists.
So now the difference between CP and MV is CP you duplicating the file,
Yes.
and then when you move, you just moving it from one to another.
Yep. You're just moving it from one place to another. Like, on your phone, when you're moving files, you're moving into different directories. Have you guys ever moved anything on your computer or moved anything on your phone? And if you ever noticed that you have to drag and drop to a different folder, or you have to pick where you want to go? So that's like the moving. You're moving things around. So, and remember, if you try to copy the same file inside the same area you're in, it won't work because there's already a copy in there. So if you ever try to copy file 1.txt in the same directory you're in, the command won't work because it can't copy something and have a duplicate of it inside the same area. All right. So did the move command, we did the remove command. I think I'll do the cat command. I think I'll skip links for next. I'll put the cat command for now. Sorry. Well, not next one. I'll put the cat command for you. That way you guys can copy it too. Okay, put that in there. Sorry about that. Just putting in the folder for you guys so we can follow along also. And then I think we'll skip that part. Okay, so the next command is called the cat command. We're going to clear the screen. So there's actually, we're going to learn the echo command too. Let me do that. Okay. So the first command we're going to learn is cat, but before we learn it, we have to go over echo. So if you ever type in the echo command, if you type in echo, you can put in the little double quotes on there and type in hello, and then you close it with another quotes. And then once you do that, you enter, and then you should see hello written back to you.
I got it.
Got it.
Nice. Okay, so I'm going to give you, there's different use cases for this command. In general, echo hello or echo whatever you print onto the screen is to repeat whatever you say to standard output. And we will be covering standard output later in the course. Like I said, today is more of a navigational to move around the file system. So when you do echo hello, we might just go over a little bit of the time, but I just want to explain the last two commands, which definitely will be beneficial to you. And on top of that, this will kind of complete the first part of the day, which is the main the main stuff of the course, because a lot of it is moving around directories and stuff. So remember, echo hello, what it is, it just prints whatever you say it. It just copies what you say. Like, echo, when you scream in the mountains, you say hello. And it's like, hello, 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 So that's what echo is. It just copies whatever he does. So this is called standard output. Anything that comes back to you, if I do the ls command, this is standard output. Standard output is output that's put onto your screen, right? Anything that is returned back to you. That's what standard output. It's like when you say hello, hello comes back, right? Like you hear the sound, like hello, like if you do an echo. So all this command echo does is just prints things to your screen. That's all it does. We're going to type in hello, and now we're going to use this greater than sign. But remember, this is called redirection, which we'll be covering another course. But I'm going to give you a very small overview of it, but I will go more in detail in the courses to come. So the echo hello, when I do this, when I type in echo hello normally, right, it prints to the screen. When I do this hello, and I use this greater than sign, now what I'm going to do, I'm setting it to a file. I'm going to call it file2.txt. So once you guys type this in the command fully, let me know, and I'm going to explain the command a little bit more to you guys.
Finished.
Okay. Do you have other people that are done now? With the hello,
Yep.
echo, hello. Beautiful, beautiful. So with the hello command, remember what it does? It just prints whatever you say it back to the screen. That little sign that you see, the greater than, all it's saying is that, hey, I do not want you to print to the screen. I want you to send it to a file, and I want you to call the file2.txt. As you see, this file was never created, right? How do we create files? We use the touch command, but we didn't create anything. So what we're telling Linux to do, or the bash, what we're telling it to do. So just to make it easier, what we're doing is all called bash. So Linux uses bash. This is what they use to interpret all the code that you're writing, all the commands. So we're using bash, technically speaking. But I'll just say Linux to make it more simple. So technically, when you tell Linux to type echo hello, normally it prints to the screen, and to your screen it'll print hello. But I'm telling it, hey, I don't want you to print to the screen. I want you to send it to a file, and this file, I want you to call it file2.txt. And when you press enter, you shouldn't get any output. The command should come out clear. So when you type in echo hello greater than file2.txt, all it's saying is that I want you to print hello, and I want you to put it in a file called file2.txt. And when you press ls, you should have something called file2.txt. And let me know when you're at this stage.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So now, if we type in the cat command, so I'm going to explain the cat command. The cat command does two things. It can either concatenate stuff. What it means is that it can combine files together, or it can read the contents of a file. You know how on Microsoft or other programs, if you want to read a text file, what do you have to do? You have to double click it, and then guess what? It has to open up a word processor, right? It has to open up a program, right? Like some program for you to read the text, right? So the cat command lets you see the text without opening the program. So if you want to see your resume, right, and you printed it, like let's say you typed your resume up and you want to see your resume, you have to double click. You have to open it on Adobe if it's a PDF, or you have to open up in Word if it's a text or docx file. So when you're doing that, it takes work, right? Like you just want to know what's inside of it. You don't want to open up Word. You don't want to open up Adobe. So in Linux, you can use this command cat file2.txt. If you type in file2.txt, you see it lets you look inside of the file2.txt and tells you what's inside of there. And here is telling you that hello is inside of the file2.txt. So cat just shows you what you put inside that file. So remember, we put hello inside of file2.txt. And since we catted file2.txt, we put hello in there, and guess what? It printed hello to us. It showed us what was inside of there. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to type in another echo command, but this time we're going to do hello, and we're going to put 3 O's at the end of it. And now we're going to send it to file3.txt. And once you're done, let me know.
I'm done.
Okay.
So quick question. I noticed that you didn't create the file thread by using the touch command.
Yes.
So by using the echo command, you can also create a file at the same time.
Essentially, yes, in a way. Well, echo command doesn't really create the command.
The greater than.
So yes, the greater than does, because this is just moving the output. So all this is moving the output. So instead of printing it to our screen, which is here, it's moving the data into a file named file3.txt. It's just moving it, and if it doesn't exist, it will make it. If it exists, this little this greater than sign will delete everything inside of it. It'll overwrite the files. So if you don't want to, if you put 2 of these, it will add it to the end of the file. But since it doesn't exist, right, it will just it will make the file for you. So when you run this cat command, I'm sorry, not the cat command. When you run the echo command, all it's doing is printing to the screen. This little greater than sign is saying, hey, don't print to the screen. Just send it to this file that I want it to be named file3.txt. That's all it does.
And can you please repeat the role the cat also plays again too?
Okay. Oh yeah, we're gonna use a cat now. That's why I wanted to make this file 3. So cat does 2 things. It can combine files together, right? Like it can print the contents of both of them at the same time, or you can view the content of the file. So it's really the same thing. I mean, I don't know why they call it concatenate. I don't know. I just, the way they use it is just really weird, or mixed up. Not weird. It just doesn't really explain it thoroughly. So what cat command does, all it does, it looks inside of a file. So if I want to look inside of file.3, you see, now I can see the contents of the file, which is hello. You can also put in multiple files, which I can put file2.txt. You see, I get both of them. First, it prints file 3, which is hello, and then it prints file 2, hello. So all cat does, it just tells you what's inside of these texts. Like it prints out what's inside of it.
I saw. Okay.
Yep. Has everyone been able to complete making the file3.txt with the hello with the 3 O's? And then were you guys able to cat out your file?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So in a nutshell, cat just prints what's inside of it. You can concatenate files. Like, I don't know why they say concatenate files. You're not really putting them together, technically speaking. You know, so when you do cat file3.txt, file2.txt, it prints both of them out. You know, but it only concatenates them if you put them into another file. Like if I did this, remember when you do this, what does this do? It changes the output, right, to somewhere else. So if I do cat file3.txt, it prints it to the screen. But now I want to print it to file4.txt. I'll let you guys follow along. Once you guys are ready, you'll do the same thing as before. Cat file3.txt, file2.txt, and then the greater sign, file4.txt. And we will be going over the redirection stuff the next class. So you guys will understand more about the redirection. I'll go over all the stuff on and get more detail on that one for you guys. So once you do this, and you type in cat on file 4, you should be able to see that it basically sent the output from the cat command. When the cat command looked inside of file 3 and it looked at file 2 and it printed it to the screen. so you did the same command as above, but except you told Linux to move the stream to a file named file4.txt, and that's what you wanted to name it, and to put what you're going to put on the screen, put it inside this file.txt. And then in cat, you're just opening that file to see what's inside of it. Like you're just previewing it. You're like printing what's inside of it.
Oh,
Okay. Say it one more time. Sorry.
no, please. My son just came in the room. Sorry.
Oh, no worries. No worries. No worries. No worries. We're almost done. Does that make any sense to you guys? And if it doesn't, please let me know what part I can explain of the process to you.
Yes, I think it. Yeah.
It makes sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, the next class, we're going to be talking more about like the redirections and like the double one. And we're going to be talking about some more really, really cool stuff. And that's pretty much it for this class. I think we got through the navigational commands, which was like the critical thing I wanted to get done with you guys. You know, and I'm going to put some homework in for all the commands that we use today. We're going to have some homework and to practice on your own time to try to use these commands that I showed you. And I will actually give you some assignments, like things that you can practice with. And then the next class, I can get some feedback on how you feel about the commands. And I'll probably have some type of quiz in the class. Like, you know, I'll have like, so I'll figure something out to make it more interactive and more engaging that we can see how well you understood the commands. But how do you feel now knowing the basic navigational commands in Linux about moving around, copying, making files, deleting the file, making directories, deleting directories, listing directories, and, you know, changing directories and all that kind of stuff? How do you feel now so far with the navigational commands?
So far, so good. I think since we created our own user ad with the Tom, I think it really helped me a lot.
Thank you for the feedback.
What you were doing, so that was very helpful, because before that I was completely lost, you know. So, but I think I enjoyed it more as we did it with what you were doing and us following it, you know, and practicing on that ourselves.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate your feedback. I mean, it makes total sense. You know, if you're watching mine, it's totally different. Like the commands or the stuff that I have in my directory, it's not the same as yours. So that was a great suggestion. Thank you for that. You know, that's what I should have done and made everyone the same user. I was actually thinking of having a VM image, but I was like, you know what? Like, I think it might be easier for them to do it this way. I was just trying to make it more convenient. But that's, you know, I should have thought of that, but I really appreciate that. I was definitely, you know, instrumental in trying to, you know, explain everything. But in general, do you have any questions of anything we went over today? Do you guys feel confident in what you've learned so far about, if I told you I want you to move to your home folder, if I told you I want you to make a directory, if I told you to make a file, if I told you to, you know, tell me where you're at, or if I told you, hey, I want you to say hello and make a file with hello in it, like, would you feel comfortable like with any of those requests if someone told you that?
Yes.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask a couple questions before we get off today. So what's the difference between the pwd command and the cd command?
So PWD is print working directory. It basically prints the directory that you are currently in. CD is change directory. You use that to navigate the Linux file system.
Perfect. All right. How about what's the difference between touch and mkdir?
Touch is when you making a file, and mkdir is when you make directories.
Perfect. All right, and I'll ask a couple more because we're almost done with the commands. What's the difference between ls And let's see. Let's try cat.
Unless it's, when you list them what you did, and cats. Somebody help me with cat. I kind of forgot. Cat.
Displaying the contents of, I think, where you at?
No, cat is to display the contents of a file without actually opening the file.
Yes, correct. So cat is a command to display the contents of a file. That's pretty much it. So you're able to look at it without opening up an editor. And then ls, it just tells you the files and the directory where you're currently at. So ls just tells you what's in the folder that you're in right now. So if you're in like your home folder, you type in ls, it will tell you what's in your home folder because you're already there. And last question of the day, can someone explain the difference between a relative path and absolute path?
Okay, relative path is basically is related to the folder that you are currently in.
Yes.
Absolute path is the actual absolute path of the file. So basically from the root file system all the way out to wherever you are currently at.
Okay, perfect. That's awesome. All right, well, this will conclude the class unless anybody has any questions at all or any feedback. Please feel free to message me directly, WhatsApp group or whatever. But is there any other questions before we move to our next class? Actually, not our next class. We scheduled the next class for obviously the same time, but before we move on and conclude the class, is there any other questions?
Yeah, yes, Prof. I don't mean to put this person on the spot, but
The person.
I haven't heard her voice throughout the whole class. It's been 2 weeks, and that's Vanessa. I hope she's still online.
Let me check. It says that she's on. Yeah, it doesn't tell you anything. All it says is like ask to unmute, but doesn't really give me any like details of like, you know how some apps tell you who's watching the screen, who's not. Like you don't have there's no detail on that, unfortunately. I don't know if anyone's even watching the window. I'm pretty new with Zoom, so but yeah.
And I think maybe next class we should all just maybe show our cameras.
Yeah,
so
we can do that.
At least we see some seriousness there. Also, my wife is going to be joining us next week. She's actually been kind of, because I put the class on the screen and she's been enjoying it.
No worries.
So today she kind of like took a crash course and she's going to be joining. So I'll be sending her money to you in a couple of minutes.
Okay, no worries. If you do me I can also have like a quick session with her and you or however, or if you feel like you can explain the commands we went over. All you have to is it shouldn't be too much, but if you want to explain it to her, I can also help you out. Also like maybe Saturday or Friday or Sunday morning or like something to like go over like 1 hour, just simple like to help her out if needed. If not, if you can do it, that's great and awesome. But like I said, this whole class is going to be catered up to you guys. So like there's some more advanced stuff, but if I feel like it's not going to benefit you guys, I'm going to take it out. The course, I want to curate it to where your skill level is at. So if I, like some of the stuff that we might go over might be advanced, but if we don't, like, I want to go piece by piece. Like if we get to that advanced part, that'll be great. But if we don't, then it just means that we'll just take a little bit longer to get there. That's all that means. So I just want to make sure, we all are just following along and doing the homework and then asking a lot of questions. No question, the dumb question. The more questions you ask, the more you know about the task and stuff. So yes.
And I appreciate your patience with us. So thank you for that also.
Yeah, no problem, man. I really enjoy helping everyone. So no issues there.
Okay. Next week Sunday I'll be out. I have a funeral to attend next week Sunday. So is there a way like I could catch up on the recording?
Yeah. I record on my session, so I'll just send you the recordings just to let me know.
Yes, I was sorry. Go ahead, Kofi.
No, I'll just let him know I won't be in next week Sunday. So
Yeah, I was gonna ask about the record because during the week I like to play back as I'm at work, just to because I think when I hear it,
Yeah, you understand it better. True.
I understand it better. So
Yeah.
if you don't mind, if you could send us the link to this class,
I
so that
will. Yep.
review it for the week.
I'll make a OneDrive. What do you call it? I'll make a link and I'll give it to you. It'll be a OneDrive folder, and inside that folder, it will be a recording for each week for you guys to watch.
Okay, thank you, bro.
Appreciate it.
Yes, no problem. And just nudge me. Like if there's anything I forget or anything that I'm supposed to be following up, I should follow up on myself, obviously. But if there's anything that I probably said and I forgot to notate it or something like that, like just feel free to let me know. Or anything like that, just in case I forget. I'm a human being, so things can get forgotten. But for the most part, I'll make sure that I get that done today.
Yeah, I think maybe this week we're probably gonna bother you more because with the homework and all that stuff.
Oh, that's
so,
fine. No,
yeah,
I don't mind.
yeah,
I don't mind. Like
do it.
yeah, like my schedule is free Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, I'm usually just working on some like courses or like something for fun or like I'm pretty much free. And then through the week I'm free too. Like you can hit me up almost anytime. But yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right.
All right.
Thank you guys so much. You guys have a blessed day, and I look forward to seeing you guys next week and interacting with you guys.
Thank you.
Will do.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
All right, bye.
Yeah, real good.